Good morning, guys. It's David. It's Monday, February 26th, 2024, and I wanted to do a quick video on some tips for survival. There's going to be a lot of issues in the economy in Great Britain this year, and there's going to be a lot of shortages. I was first sort of onto this back in 2020 with all the money printing by Rishi, and I knew just fundamentally and through my education in economics that you can't just print money with no goods to back it up without there being huge inflation and shortages of goods. And ever since then, I've been really trying to stock up on things that I think will be useful for me, things that are tradable with other people that they will find useful, and really just getting ahead of the cost of living game. When you go to the supermarket and you find that things are expensive and the prices keep rising, that's a good time to buy things because, the value of them is going to rise and, their availability is more than likely going to become more scarce. I don't know if and when there's going to be buying controls and capital controls and rationing in Britain. Some people would say it's happening already. But regardless, I think it's always good practice to buy what you can, when you can, if it's going to be of use to you and valuable to you. And just wanted to sort of make that point. So get hold of really good goods. I've been buying things like anything good for the bathroom, things like soap, things like razors, things like toothpaste, toothbrushes. These are great for me and my family, but they're also really, really tradable items. These are things other people are going to want to buy. Also, I think heating is a really important thing in the winter, having a wood fire, getting lots of firewood, fire lighters, matches, things like torches are also really useful. Batteries, light bulbs, kind of household goods. And then, electronic appliances, have a few of those because these things can, break or wear out and, really easy to replace them with a box from your cupboard than, scramble around at, a place like B&Q or a supermarket where the prices have gotten really high or they may not have them. So things like kettles, things like toasters, things like microwaves, hair dryers, all these things are really useful for you. And like I said, tradable with your neighbours for valuable things that they have that you might need. So I'm big on kitchen appliances. I'm big on bathroom stuff, little household stuff and electronic items. And then obviously laundry, washing powder, those little washing capsules I like that you stick in the washing machine, I think are really good. And, detergents, just those sorts of things that have multiple uses. Alcohol is another one. I'm not a drinker myself, but medicine, first aid, bandages, alcohol can be really useful if there's someone's got a significant injury. I'm not a medical person, but I do know that. And, obviously make sure your household first aid kit is really well stocked up. I think that's useful. I was doing a video yesterday out in Bakuriani, Georgia, which is a beautiful mountain town. Recommend you check that video out. And if anyone's interested in relocating to Georgia, feel free to get in touch with me. I've been out here for 3 years now. Really love being in Georgia. I'm a British citizen living here, and it's really easy if you've got a British passport because you can stay for 12 months at a time. And, you just roll it over. Every time I go back to Britain, I come back to Georgia. It's another 12 months minimum. So really, really great flexibility is what I always like. Having flexibility where you live, where you work, where you invest, where you move around to. And, Georgia offers much. It's somewhere that not many British people really know about. Whenever I tell people in Britain that I live in Georgia, they always say, is that Georgia in America? Or I didn't know Georgia was a country or whatever, but it offers much. And really, really low cost of living, really low tax. Some people, love living in the UK, and as do I totally respect that. But I really want to ask the question about critical mass. How expensive does cost of living have to be in Britain before you decide to make a change? How, authoritarian does government policy have to be? How much debt does Britain have to accumulate before you say, you know what, it's tough to get ahead here. Maybe we should look elsewhere, either some of the time or all of the time, or with our investments, or getting some, capital and income streams coming from other parts of the world. There's so much opportunity out in the world when you really go looking for it. Common sense, something I always advocate in terms of security, and make sure you're abiding by all different laws of different countries. But great opportunities here in Georgia, so get in touch with me if that's something of interest to you. I want to point out that there's a lot of media manipulation in terms of economic data these days. This probably doesn't come as a surprise to you. Government measures things like inflation differently to the way they did back in the 1970s. So they say, hey, look, it's not as bad as it was in the 1970s, or it's similar, but of course it's not apples for apples. You're measuring things with different metrics. If we measure things the exact same way, then we're able to get a like-for-like comparison. I believe inflation in Britain is a lot worse than in the 1970s today, but it's being manipulated by government data that is not apples for apples, even though they present it as such. So there's a lot of fraud in terms of the way media presents the market and the British economy, and it's all about getting people to keep living their normal life, keep spending as they have always spent, keep investing as they've always invested, and to some extent, or to a significant extent, this leads to their financial doom. And I don't want that for people that watch my videos. I want people to make good decisions. And I always think good decisions come from, really, really diligent questioning of the information that we have, thorough research, and making sure we're, making decisions. We're doing a broad outlook on all the opportunities. We're not just sort of single-minded into one opportunity or one area of living or investing. British people have the world at their feet. The world is their oyster, and they should invest where they are going to get the best return anywhere in the world. They should live where they're going to get the best quality of living for them anywhere in the world and the best value, and take a worldwide outlook if you don't think Britain is where it's at these days. And also, what would be that critical mass where you'd say, you know what, things are just too expensive here now, let's look elsewhere. So ignore the media naysayers. Also want to point out a little story I remember from when I was a young kid, and I was very, very young, and I managed to get hold of a £5 note from one of my parents. I can't quite remember how, but I was thrilled to bits with this £5 note. And this was in the days where £5, it's hard to believe now, but £5 is actually quite a lot of money. And I remember taking this £5 note straight round to my grandmother's house to show her. And she sat me down and said, look, David, you need to take this £5 note to the shop. Get them to change it for 5 £1 coins, because if you lose one of the £1 coins, you still got, most of the money left. But if you lose the £5 note, you've got nothing. And I remember thinking in my extreme youth, this was the last thing that I was going to do, I wasn't going to be, mixing it up with the £1 coin people any longer. I wasn't going to be slumming it with them, because I was at the £5 note level now, and it just seemed like a sort of a new frontier in wealth and status. And obviously the £5 note would have disappeared shortly thereafter, but yet it's my grandmother's wisdom that really has lasted the decades ever since. And it's not so much about losing money where it falls out of your pocket, but it's about losing wealth through the other attacks on it, through, government money printing, taxation, poor spending decisions. And it's really about breaking money down into small denominations, kind of like a slices of bread from a big loaf. And that's the beauty of money. You can break it down into, any kind of denomination you want. And oftentimes you can get much better investment returns from small amounts of money than you can from big amounts of money. Now, obviously, both have advantages. Big amounts of money allow you to make big purchases, often at a discount, because you're coming in, you're paying all cash or whatever, you're buying in bulk. I'm not disputing any of that. But I'm talking about diversification of wealth. If you can break your wealth down into small denominations, if you can divide it up into, a broad area and geographically dispersed, you are going to do really well in this, economic correction we're going to have. And also, more importantly, you're going to have capital on hand to buy distressed investment deals. And I think that wisdom from my grandmother says so much about opportunity and about wealth preservation in difficult times, which is what we're going into now, and obviously we're already in. So want to say thank you to everyone for watching my videos. Check out my location videos going around Georgia. If you're interested, you really get a great insight into different places to live and different property values and costs of living. Much less expensive here. You can sell your house in Britain or one of your investment properties and invest it elsewhere and get a lot more bang for your buck for you, for your family, and for your investment returns. So great opportunities out there in the world. Appreciate you watching these videos very much. I'm going to be doing a lot more of these, and hope you have a great rest of the day.